Good evening, ghoulish guests. Tonight, I will take you on a terrifying myth from the Aztec mythology. I chose a story from the Aztec mythology because here in the UK, I've noticed that many people put the Mexican holiday of Dia de los Muertos together with the Celtic and North American holiday of Halloween. But I would like to show you that the Mexicans of ancient times came up with more than just smiling sugar skulls and bright flowers for Halloween. Indeed, their mythology has always had a very dark and macabre side to it. And tonight, I would also like to mention that the artwork is by my good friend and Aztec expert Louise Fogerty, who visited our club in the January of this year. Let us begin our tale. The world was in turmoil. The sun had disappeared from the sky. All that was left was the inky blackness of space. When the ancient Mexicans were terrified, they huddled in their cities, burning fires and huddling around them to keep warm. What was going to become of the world? The sun had been destroyed by a great flood. Could they depend on their gods to save them in their hour of need? Interestingly enough, the sun being extinguished was by no means an uncommon event in the mythical Aztec world. At the dawn of creation, the sun had been created, but it was destroyed by a plague of flying jaguars. Another sun was reborn through the sacrifice of a god, and this sun lasted for a time, but it was destroyed by a hurricane wind. With the sun extinguished, another god gave his life to become the next sun, and this sun ruled over the world until it was destroyed in a cloud of ash. And now, the fourth sun, which had reigned over the world, giving life to humans, plants, and animals alike, had now been destroyed by the rising of the sea. What were the gods to do this time? Could they save the world again? Oops. The Aztec gods had assembled in their celestial palace, and among the gods there was a great debate. Which of the gods should sacrifice their life to become the fifth sun and to become the life-giving source to the new era? It was going to be a great honor to become the new sun, but it had a dark side. In order to become the new sun god, the god had to sacrifice their life by leaping into the sacred fire, having their flesh burned away by the flames and eaten down to the bone. Even for an immortal god, this would be a horribly painful process. And would it work that they would be reborn as the new sun? It was hard to say. Only two gods in the pantheon were brave enough to take on this challenge. The first was the handsome and elegant Tequetzalcoatl. He was a very conceited god. He knew he was handsome, popular, wealthy, and he just knew that becoming the next sun god was the next step on his path to success. The other contender for the sun was this humble character, Nanahuatzin. Nanahuatzin was a god who had never really had a break in life. He was a god of disease, and he constantly suffered in dirt and hunger and coldness throughout his existence. He wanted to see if he could become the new sun god in order to have done something meaningful with his humble life. Oops. The two rival gods gathered before the sacred bonfire, and now what the other gods gathered to see was which god was going to throw himself into the fire and sacrifice himself to become the new sun. Would it be the proud and elegant Tequetzalcoatl, or would it be the humble and unassuming Nanahuatzin? Tequetzalcoatl faced the flames, and as he stared into that raging inferno, his courage evaporated like steam. He couldn't bring himself to throw his handsome, beautiful body into the fire. It would burn up his beautiful clothes, singe his lovely hair, destroy his gorgeous appearance he had cultivated for so long. But at the same time, all the other gods were watching, and it was so uncomfortable. How could he get out of this mess he had gotten himself into? He steeled himself up to jump into the flames. The other gods watched in anticipation, but he just simply couldn't do it. His courage completely failed him. He tried summoning up his courage again, but the terror and agony of the flames pushed him backwards. The other gods were frankly beginning to get quite bored with this tedious spectacle. But then a cry went up. Nana-Watzin, the humble, dirty, sore-covered god, had thrown himself into the flames. The other gods watched as his small and pitiful body was wrapped in flame. What would become of him? Could such a pitiful god ever become the magnificent new sun? Nana-Watzin was consumed in the flames, but as he was burned to ashes, a healthy, handsome